So we're back for the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, broadcasting on the American Kabbalah Network. We are in America and we're learning Kabbalah, and we hope to be able to get these things out. Now, we had said before that this story was simple about an emperor who met a king. They made a pact between them that they should have children. Well, Rav Schick starts taking us into a deep Kabbalistic idea about what actually this is about. Is he says that this is the secret of the development of all of the universe and what's really going on. Now, one of the things that Rabbi Nachman does is he wants to personalize this. He wants to say that what's happening in the universe and the way that the universe was created, the purpose of it was for you and me, and for us to be able to develop ourselves. So basically, he's going to take the general metaphor of the way that the world was created, much of which is taken for the example for the Torah that you read, and he's going to apply it to us. Now, so the story goes like this, is that each of them did have children. One had a male son, that is, the king had a male son, and the emperor had a daughter. And now we're going to see that they're going to meet, and even though that they were going to, in fact, they said there's going to be a pact, and in the end that they're all going to get married and so on and so forth, but it didn't happen. So now we have to understand, what does this mean and how does it work in terms of where we're at? So then he said, "V'shalach HaKeser as bito lilmod." So the Keser sent his daughter off to learn. Shezerah v'malchus atzilos. So we said before, this is referring to the malchus of Atzilos. This is the bottom of Atzilos. So to understand that Atzilos, Eric Anpin runs the entire course of Atzilos. So when we say Atzilos, we're referring to Eric Anpin, and we're referring to the most outside part of the lowest part, depending on how you look at it. The part which is going to be closest either to the forces of the other side, called the klipos or kali, we call them kali, or they're going to be closest to the next parts of, the next place to be mashpia to give to. Gam HaMelech shaloch es beno lilmod Torah. So he says, who is this? This is their anpin of Bria. So in other words, so you have a higher level female and a lower level, which is a male character. And the two of them were placed by one malamed. So he says, what does this mean? So first of all, we understand the metaphor is talking about something extremely deep in spiritual terms. It's not physical at all. Then he says that Shazer HaTzadik, this teacher, is the Shadich HaMalabed, is the Neshamos Yisrael Gilui Elokus. What is this? This is the Tzadik HaEmes. Now, Tzadik HaEmes, we understand when he says that he means Rebbeinu Kodesh, Rebbe Nachman B'Fege. That's what he means. But on the other hand, the Shorish of Rebbe Nachman B'Fege is this. That's what he wants to say. He says that besides the corporeal tzaddik, there's also a tzaddik that exists, that is created in a much, much higher place, even in the realm of Atzilus. Rabbeinu Zal says in the Zekunim around Chelek Aleph Siman Lamed, Shatzaddik hu hamalabed hagun. This is the fit teacher. So what does this teacher do? He's able to bring down the appreciation or the reaching to reach Elokus, V'seichel Elyon, for the top mind, the top level of mind. Seichel usually goes with Chachma. The Seichel Tachton, to the Chachma of people like us. That's what this Malamed is able to do. Shezeh Hamshachas or Atzilos. So what is it? To bring the light, to extend down the light of Atzilus, Etzem Elokuso, Elolam Abriya, which is the essence of Elokus, into the lower of Olam Abriya. Now, those of you who are in the Sod class, so you're going to learn later on that when he says Bria, which is one of the Olomos, so there are three Olomos outside of Atzilus, which are Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya. So the Rav understands them to be the most closest part. They're actually three sections of the same chitzon, is the same outside part. So that Bria is the inside, and then the middle would be Yitzira, and then the most outside part would be Yitzira. So if he says Bria, he means all three of them the same way. Just different aspects. In other words, closer, middle, and then further away. So he said, V'hoya ovim zeh zeh. Now these two, this son and this daughter, they loved each other. They immediately saw they were attracted. So he says like this: the lower worlds, they're separated from Atzilus. And now he says the sun represents the part which is separated. and the daughter represents the Malchus of Atzilus, which is the opening into all the fantastic world of the next world. But those that is Bia or Bria, all of it has a continuous desire to be able to raise itself up to its origin in Atzilus. And that's the way it always is. That the lower world always wants to be filled with the eternity of the upper world. So they made a pact, and they said that they're going to get married to each other. Because that is really the job of the tzaddik. The tzaddik wants to do is he makes to make a tie between us and our neshamas, which are inside of us, and direct them towards godliness, which is the ultimate place for us to be able to have a connection in the Olam Atzilus. And how do you do this? How does this happen? To only be thinking about Him, Yisbarach, and they should not remove their thinking for 1 second from Hashem Yisbarach. So this idea, so this is what we want to realize, that Hashem is everything, is inside of us, and always be turning to that. Of course, we live in this world. So the Ben Melech then, he took a ring. And he took this ring and he put it on her hand. Now he doesn't say on her finger, but he says on her hand, so it could be the same thing. So what does it say? The secret of this ring is that it has 2 qualities. One is that it's round. Now, it doesn't sound like anybody that's been learning Shar HaGulim. So he said one is that it's round, and the other one that it's revuah. So I've seen drawings of this, which actually 4 vavs. So a vav here, which is a straight line here, and here, and here. It makes a mem, like that. This is also brought in the Tikkuni Zohar. Bisavidis Aska, and there's a quote from the Zohar. He says, and they made a ring, Begine Idma Lagabe Kala, and in regards to this, he says to his bride, Tehei li mekudeshes b'tavaz zu. Mem. So with the letter mem, this is the ring that I'm giving you. So in Olam Atzilus, which is not a physical world, it is a world that is full of the manifestation of the greatness and the wonder and the glory. What's the right word? The tremendous pleasure of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Sha'akesed Rich Anpin. So he says the crown of a Rich Anpin, which is the very top of Atzilus. Shehu Sod Zocher, which is masculine. This Yachidim Hamem Stuma makes a yichud with this closed mem, that is the final mem, the mem sofit. Shehiba Bechin is the Kever Alav, which becomes a female to him. So this is what you call the Erik Anpin, the Nukve, and his female. Kedei lahaskil tikol olamos. Why is this? What's the purpose? The purpose is that for them, when they are able to make a yichud, they're able to produce a tipa, a drop of seed. That seed is a drop of seed of Kedusha. And that Kedusha could come into the world and build the whole world up, and build you up, build me up. We live in nice partsufim shloimim in order to build complete systems for the transfer of the light and the bounty of Hashem down to us. And that's the concept that the chasen, which is the male aspect of Zer Anpin, with the female aspect of Zer Anpin, that he makes this yichud with them, which is another word for zivug, or this match. So he says and explains again, that is round and squared. Now he adds a new idea that we haven't really talked about. The four represents the 4 different mochim. Now let's get to mochim later, but we'll just say there are 4 different mochim. Mochim are the excellent streams of shefa, of bounty, that Hashem gives to us. They have different functions as they reach in from one section of the top of in this case of Atzilus, down through it, and then passing on to the other universes and the other partsufim that are outside of Atzilus. So he said, he gives her this square, this ring, which is round and square. So he says the square part of it refers to Daled Mochin. What are the Daled Mochin? The Daled Mochin are called Chochma Bina Chesed Gevura. Those are the Daled Mochin. But inside it's round. And remember we were saying like this, and as we were learning in Shara Agulim, for those of us who were learning over there, that you have two concepts there. You have a concept of a line, and you have a concept of a ball, or which is a circle. So we're thinking, how do you put these two things together? Well, that's the ring of putting these two things together. That's what this ring signifies. Shehu Soda Amunah. So he says the circle is the concept of Amunah. A lot of places we see that Amunah is another word for Malchus. Why? Because Malchus is empty. Malchus has only face. That's where we're living now. Because Malchus is missing the Gilu Elokus. There's no God revealed here easily. Now the Tzaddik HaEmes, his job is to show us how to access it. Bechina, so he says, this is a concept that Rav Schick brings in the Pasuk in Tehillim, where he says, and your faith, that is that you believe, even though you cannot see it, it surrounds you. So belief is like a garment that you have all the way around you in a circular form. And they made a chita, they made, let's see what he said, they got married, or they became engaged. What does, it's not engaged. It's what they actually had a yichud, so they combined themselves. That is the male of Erekan Pin and the female of Erekan Pin find themselves. And what's the purpose of it? In order to bring down Shefa, this bounty, this bracha, into the Lomos through the Mochi. But what we want to say over here is that's true. But the zivug that we're talking about there is not continuous. So then the Kesar, that's the father, let's say, or the progenitor, the matzel of this Malchus. Gam Hamelach Shalach Acher Beno v'Reviel Lebesos, also the king, the one that gave birth in whatever way that reproduced this son, he's now calling the heir Zera Anpin of Bria, brings him back. So this is to tell you that what's actually happens is that the yichud that produces the ultimate seed that brings our bracha is not continuous. It has to be fostered. You have to keep trying to make it. So the reason why is so that the bria, the creation, will continue. So let me just explain why will it be completed. Because what we need, and by asking Hashem for help, or by praying to Him and thanking Him, but bringing from our lowest level of all the things that we lack, we bring Bhakti back into the world. This is a process, circular process. What is down has to come up. Then what is up will come down. So he said, and now to this Malchus, they started speaking Shidduchim. Giselle Hakale Ashur Klipos Sharotzli his Aches B'Malchus. These are the Klipos that want to get a hold of this Malchus. Now I'm on page Mem Gimel. If you have the Sipurei Maasiot from the which is called from the Nare Parsima and the rivers of Persimmon, Shebisham Yotzim Klal Amuna Kozvios, because the false beliefs flow out of the possibility of mating Malchus to something else. We know there's plenty of false beliefs around. But because of the fact she had tied herself so completely to this young man, who again, he calls this the Zer Anpin of Bria, that is the desire to come to a higher level and to grow. Because once he gave her this ring, which was a hiskashras, we call this a zivug or a yichud in the olamos of Atzilos. Shehi beso the gula v'ruvua hadalad mochim v'ramonas, which is the tied together of the mochim, which are coming from up above down below, and the muna, which represents the malchus, which is going to receive them. So this is a complete kashras of what's being given and what's being received. But she didn't want to get involved with other outside elements. He wants to say the general rules like this, that no matter where you are or who you are, you're a Jew. You have a continuous, and no matter what you're doing or how far away from you are, but your desire to come close to Hashem never stops. And even though you have all kinds of problems, sorrows or pains, v'yisurim, and different kinds of punishments and different kinds of pains again, different things that steer you away from being able to see your ultimate purpose and what Hashem's purpose is in this world, even though that's constantly happening to you. Shasitra acham is gaveris and mispashetis alayda ma'od, because there's another force. It's a force outside of us, a force that tries to lie to us and try to criticize us and try to make us feel that we can't go on. That is very strong in the world that we live in. How do they come about? We make mistakes, and some mistakes are really serious. And so if we make mistakes, that creates the forces that oppose us. Self calls self and the shamas because we have to remember we're here in this world. This is a world of mess, as I've said many times. Yaakov Hillel calls this the world of the Zuhamas and Nachash. We're in the river, the flow of the poison of the snake. We live in it. So it's all around us all the time. And the tests that we have to go through can be very difficult, and they can be very bitter. But since we know that the shorish of our souls comes from Kedusha, then over the time and over the generations, and don't give up hope on your relatives that may not be so frum, or yourself when you make a slip. In time, you will do tshuva, and you'll want to come back to the truth of Hashem. And we want, that is, our neshamos want to come back to Hashem Yisbarach from whence they came. So these are the different tests which are hard and which are very bitter. Every single person in this world is having trouble and is having different kinds of tests. Is because there is a person has successes. But he has failures as well. Failures in ruchnius, failures in morality, failures in business, failures in health, all different kinds of failures, but also successes. Each one according to his bechina. In Kolzos, Tamid, Nimsha, Chazara, Alagadusha, but in all of this, no matter what, it comes back to Kedusha because of all the things that push you and bang you. In the ultimate end, we only have Hashem. And the reason why is because our roots are actually rooted in the upper worlds. So these are some of the wonders of creation. So in the end, those people who are not religious and that are leading different movements which take people away from Torah, and also the forces of the outside world itself, the Goyim and the Goyish nations and all the different things that are coming after the Jewish people, they're not going to be anything in the end. Achrav kavar klum. Because he says, even if they have a hold of us, even if we go to their congregations, even if we join their causes, even if we're frightened by them or killed by them, whatever it would be, but the end, all of us will come back in tshuva. How is this possible? Because this malamed, which has a seed in its silus itself that we see, it's part of the yesod of its. It has some relationship with das. I'm not sure exactly which part of its silus it's in. Through this, it teaches us how to put ourselves back together. Shuchat tzadik emes, and who is this a remiss to? Who is this hinted at? This is hinted at Rabbeinu Kodesh, Rabbi Nachman, Shuhu mechaber chazara as nishbos Yisrael who love Yisbarach, because his job is to bring us back and join us back together with Hashem Yisbarach. Okay, that's the shir for today.